Hey everyone, welcome and welcome to my good friend Rebekah. Hi, Rebekah.
Hi, Wardy.
I'm so happy you've joined today. Everyone, Rebekah is here. She's been a student in our Eat God's Way program for the last year, and she's had a wonderful year and a wonderful story. So I invited her to come on and just talk about her experience. And I think you're going to learn a lot, relate to a lot, especially if you have a large family, especially if you have hungry boys, especially if you homeschool, and you're going to find lots of other reasons to love Rebekah's story. So let's dive in, Rebekah, by you sharing a little bit more about your beautiful family.
My husband is a self-employed spray foam insulator. I have 6 sons, 12 to 4. The 2 oldest are twins, and then I have 10, 8, 7, and a 4-year-old. That's my little pack, and they're a blast. Lots of fun, lots of work, very creative boys, very hardworking. They love to explore, they love to read, they love to write. They have been interested in all the things that I've been learning with this kind of right alongside. They'll jump in the couch beside me while I'm watching a video of how-tos. They'll be like, "Can we go make that?"
Wow. I do have to say to everyone listening that Rebekah and I actually know each other in real life. We don't live in the same area anymore, but this was, I don't even remember how many years, but our family moved to where your family lived, and we attended the church, and your father was the pastor, and you gave my daughters piano lessons.
Voice lessons.
And voice lessons, right.
My
Your
sister was
sister gave the piano
Yep.
lessons. Yes. But then we went different directions. And then this past year, you and I reconnected because you joined our program. And I wonder if you would share, if you could even remember. You shared with me, but I don't know the details. How did that exactly happen that you ended up on our website? And how did that happen?
It's really crazy. Probably because I needed to do something for my own health. And then so I started looking for stuff. I know my sister used your blog. And so I think I got onto that and started doing some research and found out that lots of women had health issues, and they found your site and you had health issues, and you started cooking all this stuff and making food better and more nutritiously. And so I said, "Caleb, I've got to do this." And he's like, "You can do it whatever you want." So I just signed up and started. I just dove right in.
Awesome. And it was really fun to reconnect with you. And I
Yes.
just enjoyed watching your journey, though, from afar, because you're in Iowa, I'm in Idaho, but we do this all online. So you had health issues, but you've done this for your entire family. So talk to us a little bit about more of your reasons. Why were you looking for a change? What wasn't going right? How were you looking for answers?
So food is fuel and food is energy. And I needed to take what I have been given by God and turn it into the most power packed, high energy food that I can ingest, because I had a lot of children really fast. And my body was just depleted, and I needed to pour lots of good nutrition back into my body and do it the best way, most practical way, in a lifestyle. I needed to change like a lifestyle so that it would be continually being replenished. So I just chose to do it at the most basic level, which is how we provide for our bodies, through food. Caleb is he's like, "Well, you don't really need to be this particular." And I said, if a gun guy is going to put his grains into his little bullet, he's going to be really particular about how much energy he's getting out of that, or his bullet. Yeah. So it works really well. And I said, "That's mine. That I'm being super particular so that I can get all the energy out of my food that I can." So I took that approach and just decided to take as much as I can out of the food to provide for my whole family, because I figured we ate healthy, but if I need to boost how I fix my food, then I'm going to also provide for them in the same way, so that they have that boost in how they eat, so that they can be strong and built well.
You needed to replenish, and then you also are looking to give a stronger foundation to your
For my
boys.
children. Yes.
And then, of course, your husband, he can use those precise grains too.
Yes, exactly. I love that.
Oh, you're the one who said it first. That's a great analogy. It's true. The things that are important to us, we try to do the best we can. So you had that moment of, I need to do better with this because I'm depleted. I got to keep up with my family.
I want to hike those mountains with them and not get dead tired and wake up chipper instead of, ugh.
Very good. We'll come back to that. So you joined our Eat God's Way cooking program. Just talk to us about how you approached it and what it looked like, practically speaking. How did you get the boys involved? What did it look like in your home to go through those lessons? Share your experience.
So we first started with the sourdough lesson book. That was the thing that we ate most of. And I saw that you had a no-knead sourdough bread recipe. I was like, that's for me. It sounded like it saved time, and it was something that I could learn and move on from there. I began to learn how to make the sourdough, and we already had a grain grinder because I already made my own bread, but I wanted, again, to get the max amount of nutrition out of it. I began with making the starter. That was really fun. It was interesting to watch the bubbles. The boys all sat around with me in the living room, and we watched how to go through making sourdough starter. And they would ask questions, and we took the little test together of I'm going to mess up that word, the lactobacilli or something like that.
Oh, the lactobacilli? Yeah.
Thank you. There you go.
The test? What's the test?
If you go through the course, then you have your starter, I think the first lesson, and then you have a quiz.
Oh, you did the quiz. Gotcha.
It was really fun.
So they did the quiz with you. Okay,
yeah.
gotcha. I thought you were talking about some test with the starter. Sorry. It's not you. This is me. It's afternoon brain.
Yeah, exactly. So then we would watch the videos. I'd shout out the little things from the materials that looked like they would need to remember that one. And then I'd say, now remember, and then we'd go through the quiz together because I want them to learn so that they can teach their families how to do this, or so that they have that nutritious mindset when they are making their own food when they're older. Yeah. And so we learned all the material. We took the tests together for that segment, and then went in the kitchen and began our science experiment. It's a very neat real life culture thing that you're working with there, and they really got into it. The littlest ones not so much, but my older two, they thought it was kind of fancy. So we had a lot of fun with that. So after we got our starter going, it was hilarious. I did the kind where you can just have a lot at once, and I couldn't shut it off. And we just kept having starter, and then I was like, oh, look, we can make pancakes out of all of this starter. So we made a huge batch of pancakes, and I called my sister and I said, how do I stop the starter? She's like, oh, just put it in the fridge. So I got my glass. This is
hilarious.
I put it in the fridge. I plopped my starter in there, a nice big amount, because I hadn't learned how much or how little I would need. So I plopped a big amount in the fridge in my glass bowl. I put it on the top shelf. I said, it's going to stay there. I'm taking a break. And I looked at it, and seriously, the bubbles were in the shape of like a silly little monster just smiling at me. Like, you're going to bed. So I said, Caleb, I've created a monster, and there it is. Anyway, so we had so much fun. I had to learn fast how to make pancakes and how to make waffles, because my ability for mastering how my sourdough multiplied and all of that happened rather fast, but we absolutely love the pancakes and the waffles. They are so good.
And one of your sons does it often now?
Yeah.
The waffles and pancakes specifically?
Yeah. Yes. Shane, my oldest, he's in charge. I mean, I did the waffles this morning, but on the general basis, he'll mix them up together. And we do a large, huge, like very big
I bet.
We mix it up, and then we make up pancakes and put them in the freezer.
Nice.
Waffles, somebody stands there and just makes them and puts those in the freezer, and we pull them out, and we just love it.
Yeah, they're amazing. I love your story about can't shut it off. And I hope nobody listening is scared. When you do start sourdough, it's hard to anticipate what one person's particular thing is going to be, but everybody's got something that is just like, I don't get this, or whatever it is.
That was my thing completely. It was not my sister's thing. She was like, oh, it's just a cute little baby. You take care of it and put it in the fridge when you're done.
Oh, that is so cute. And also, like, you learned it fast. So kind of out of necessity, because you had all this starter to use up. That doesn't always happen with everybody. But like I said, everybody has their little thing. And it's almost like God uses it to just get you over the hump.
Yeah.
So that's really precious. What else? What happened next with your sourdough journey? Figure out how to shut it off.
Yeah, I figured out how to shut it off. And then I figured out how much to pull out for baking or not. And then I began to make bread. And bread was a really big learning process for me. I was getting those heavy bricks. I just knew that if I had patience and persisted, that I would get it someday. And so I got the right kind of water. I don't know. It's such a quirky little thing. So for my home, I did the quirks. And I worked it out so that I could get a nice soft loaf, I put some rye flour in my starter because that kept it really nice and alive, and I just loved that. So that seemed to be a really big turning point. I learned how to do the ratio of flour to water and get a nice starter that I liked to work with. That was also a big, huge learning curve. Some days I was pretty disappointed because I didn't know how to manage it yet, but always I just kept going because I knew we needed it, and I knew it would be such a blessing to us if I could master it. I really think it was probably 9 months before I was really comfortable with my sourdough. I can just crank out loaves, and I love it, and my kids love it, and Caleb's happy. And I knew the day that I made a good loaf, and I was like, yes, this is good. And Caleb just looks at me and he's like, you have mastered your bread making. I was like,
wow.
It was good.
I made it.
Yes, that was a big moment.
I mean, you made it, and you made it.
Yes, exactly. It was really fun.
Congratulations. And congratulations for sticking with it, because you had the crash course where, okay, we have to make pancakes and waffles because we have tons of starter, and that's at the beginning.
That was funny.
But the bread took 9 months, and that is definitely a normal ebb and flow with anything we learn. So good on you for sticking with that.
It's totally worth it. And it's a lot of fun once you get it down. Somebody else's learning curve could be shorter than mine, but if you're still in the middle of trying to learn, stick with it. It'll come.
Nice. That's really good advice. In that 9 months, had you noticed any differences like with your energy? So talk to us about that.
I just noticed that my insides were a lot calmer. I didn't have as much breakouts in my face, things like that. I probably need to get better nights of sleep before I can know whether or not my energy is really improved. But I do think on the whole that my energy level is a lot better because we also changed our source of dairy, and we just capitalized on a lot of soaking other grains and incorporating different kinds of things. I learned how to make broth, got some organic chickens, learned how to make broth. That was also hard for me because for some reason when I was using my Instapot, I would use the pressure cooker part to make the broth and it wouldn't gel. I don't know why I didn't use the slow cooker option. Again, these little newbie mistakes that just take forever to figure out.
So are you saying that when you use the slow cooker function, it gels, and when pressure cooking, it doesn't? Yeah, I have not gotten that feedback from anybody else before. Mine on pressure cooking does gel, but I wonder if there's just something unique to your chickens, or
I don't know.
That's so interesting.
A little bit with the pressure cooker times, but it was always weird. There was never a consistent thing. And then when I use the slow cooker function, I mean, it just gels.
It's like a dream.
It's like a dream.
Nice.
That was also a learning thing. That was hard, but then I was also very happy.
Very good. So these things you're mentioning are post sourdough.
So I did sourdough, and then I did the Thanksgiving course around Thanksgiving time.
Yep, I remember that.
Was so fun. That was the best thing because I've always wanted to be able to make a beautiful meal and to make it healthy and to have a plan and a schedule and a sheet that tells me how to reach my goals. And it was gorgeous. I could do any meal now and I feel so confident. I could have my whole family over for Easter, or I'd do Christmas, and I could be prepared and ready and it would be gorgeous. It was so fun. So all of my boys got together. We did it all, I believe, in a section of 2 days, actually. So we all got together. We each picked the thing we were going to make. My kitchen was a beehive. I was always jumping from one thing to the next, but it was really happy spirit. And we just said, yeah, you're doing good on that. Here's the next process on that. Somebody else was doing another function and we would say, yes, that's going great here. And oh, you get over here and measure this with him. So you can stir that and you can cut this. And my 12-year-old Benjamin, we did chickens instead of a turkey. And now my Benjamin, I say, Benjamin, go put in a chicken for us for supper tonight. And he just goes and makes it. He puts all the apples and stuff in it and makes it all perfect. And it comes out nice and crisp and beautiful on the skin and moist. I have a cast iron, big, huge, what do you call those? Dutch ovens. And so if that's his thing, I can say, Benjamin, go do that. He'll go do that. That's been really a delicious treat for us. And then I'll put the bones into broth. So yeah, that was a fun, really fun course. Just a beautiful thing. Level of confidence was developed in myself and in my boys. I believe from that, they really launched into, hey, I can be in the kitchen and I can do this. They love watching your videos. My 4-year-old really enjoys it. And he always says, hey, can she see me? No, she can't see you.
Oh, I wish I could.
Yeah. So that is fun. We really did like that course. And then, of course, it was the holidays in January. And then I noticed your fundamentals course coming out, and I really wanted to do that because I'd started with sourdough because we ate a lot of bread and a lot of grain, needed to know how to prepare those. And then we did the Thanksgiving because it was Thanksgiving time. And then I had dabbled in a couple other things on your site because I had bought the whole package. But then I wanted to really get a good basics for how to do everything because I just felt gaps all over. How do I cook these beans? I don't know what to do with rice. That sort of thing, and yogurt and making that kind of stuff. So I said, I'll just do this fundamentals and it will cover my gaps.
Yeah, absolutely.
And oh, it did. It got all the places that I knew probably should have started there.
No. Starting with sourdough is perfect for you because you really met a need,
Yes,
and it whet your appetite. Your journey is perfect for you, Rebekah.
It was
perfect.
Good. So just having the fundamentals down and knowing, okay, there is a way to do this kind of food. There's a way to do this kind of food. There's a way to do this drink. I sent my son hay baling what he called hot shot haymakers punch because he didn't want to just call it haymakers punch. He said, Switchell's a weird name. So he's like, hot shot haymakers punch.
So cute.
So all those things have come in handy immediately, and they request it, they enjoy the food. So I'm really, really glad that we could do fundamentals. We would sit down, and again, occasionally we'd watch the videos together. Sometimes I just needed to learn this really quick so I could fix it, and didn't always have them. There was one day I was super tired and I needed to take a quiz, and I said, boys, come around, help me through this quiz. Read this stuff here with me. Help me remember the right answer. They learn right along with me, and they encourage me, and they say, no, Mama, not that one, this one. So we got the right answers in our head and the right process in our brains to go ahead and make it in our own home. And it's just been a big, big blessing to have the ability to get those nutrients and all that nutrition that God has given us to make it available to ourselves.
Yeah, right. Oh, I'm so proud of you. It's been such a blessing to reconnect with you and to see parts of your journey. And now I'm getting more of a deeper look than I have seen yet. So this is great. And we were talking earlier about your batch cooking. Can you share a little bit about that?
So batch cooking is really important for me because I have 6 boys and they're big eaters, and I have a hardworking husband who eats a ton, and they're always spending energy and they have to replenish it. Little batches and trying to learn new things. And I would seriously pull out the recipe book and I'd be like, well, that's not enough. So I'm going to have to make that times 10 sometimes. And I'd make it times 10. I was like, okay, next time I probably don't need to do times 10. But it was funny because then I would end up knowing how to do it. And it was very good for me to learn in that mode. I did the batch cooking course really, really fast, like probably in 2 or 3 days. I just went through the material. I didn't get to read everything, but I got to watch the videos. I read what I needed so I could do what I needed to do, feed my family, make that nutritious stuff. And then I went and we pulled out a bunch of meat. We made up a lot of meat in big batches and lots of meatballs. My boys got their hands in the meat and we mix it up, make little balls, bake it up. So what I'm finding is I can make up a bunch of beans, make up a bunch of rice, make up a bunch of meat, and then freeze it. And then those are quick meals. I can pull out a bag of each or 3 bags of each. And it is fast. I loved your veggie prep. I have not done that yet, but that's my next thing. I think that's fascinating and so smart to have it all ready. So I'm going to do that, and then we'll have complete meals that I can easily assemble in the midst of the busy, because I can't always stop to make that meal, start to finish, but I can have these things prepped, and my boys can help me prep in the kitchen, and it's good for them to learn how to be in the kitchen, how to take care of themselves, how to manage their own lives really in a nutritious way that honors the Lord.
You could not have said that better. Oh, yes. I love it because your boys are still boys. Your husband's a man raising little men, and yet they know where their food comes from, and they're growing to be competent in the kitchen, which every person needs to know how to feed themselves. And we all have the responsibility, though we don't always take it, to nourish ourselves the best way. And so you're giving that to your children.
Yes, their minds are starting to think in those terms, because my little 10-year-old will sit at the table and, is this healthy for us? Why is it healthy for us? And he'll ask me what's in it, and I'll maybe know some vitamins for that particular food, or some good quality about that particular food, and I'll be like, yes, this is good because it has such and such. So they're learning all the time, and we just have a good time together.
Oh, Rebekah, I'm so proud of you.
Thanks.
You've done fabulously.
Over and over, I thank the Lord for your materials over and over. Because I have Sally Fallon's book, but I read it and I was like, oh, this is overwhelming. Breaking it down into bite-sized pieces is very good.
Yep, that's what helped us in the very beginning too, because it's a wonderful book, but it is overwhelming. You just have to tackle one thing at a time, make it
Yes.
part of your life, then
Yes.
add the next thing, and pretty soon you're where you are. Okay, maybe there's more learning to do, but you have such a level of competency with all those things that you said were gaps that you didn't know. And I can see how that would make a huge difference. And now you're going to doing batch cooking to be even more efficient, to make more food
Yes.
in less time. So, what a journey you've had. Just amazing.
Just by way of encouragement to somebody else whose family may not be liking what is being turned out from the kitchen because it's new, it has different flavors, maybe you've soaked it, whatever.
Yes.
My boys have this love for baked oatmeal and soaking the oats in apple cider vinegar and prepping them in, I tried whey, I tried all sorts of things. And them not liking something can actually be a catalyst for you or for a student to learn more how to prepare food either more pleasing or more nutritiously. And so what that did for them, I tried batches and batches to try to get it pleasing to their taste. And then it made me do my research and I figured out that I could do sourdough as my thing to break down the phytic acid and to help prep that oatmeal to be more nutritious. And when I did that, they loved it. So having little people that don't like things is okay. It's fine to say, I understand you don't like this, but we're going to be thankful that it's good, nutritious food. And we're going to keep learning how to make it even tastier. And then when I put that oatmeal on the table one morning, oh, the reward of their little, this is good, Mom.
Yes, you did it.
Yeah. So keep going, even if they don't like it.
I love that. So we were going to talk about that, I think, how they've come around. So in this case, they didn't like it. They didn't like that acidic flavor.
Right.
And then you tried different ways to soak the oats so that it would be more pleasing in the end. And that definitely is a journey a lot of families have had to go through, because one family is like, oh, that's fine with me. Another family's like, everybody's tastes are different. And then, so that encourages you to find solutions and to explore and learn more. And on the other hand, sometimes our families just have to adjust. There may be a solution, but it might simply be a matter of we have taste buds that are so used to fat and salt and sugar, and it just takes time. Do you want to talk about that at all?
Yes, and here's a funny thing on that. As I was learning how to make things more nutritiously and the taste wasn't right, it was new to them, I kept trying because I was making a ton of flops. And I'd have to go back and I'd have to try again. And I'd be like, sorry guys, but this is what we have to eat. It's what I made today. And so in all those flops that they have to eat, their taste buds were changing and so were mine. And so then over the process of, yeah, it's a flopped batch of bread. Oh, this is not tasty. Or I'm sorry you don't like the oatmeal today. Everything was developing without us knowing it. So that by the time I put that, oh, I've learned how to make this, here, they were just as delighted over the delicious taste as I was and the nutrition. Then going on trips or traveling to grandma's, or my bread machine broke. So we had to buy bread. And my grain grinder broke, so I couldn't grind grain.
Oh no.
And I didn't have flour at the house, so we bought store-bought bread. And in all of those things, where grandma makes baked oatmeal differently, or we buy store-bought bread, or we eat chicken from the restaurant, they were like, Mama, this doesn't taste good. That's after almost a year. So
Wow.
It did take a long time, but we made a meal last night, or maybe it was this morning.
It all runs together.
Mama. We had the meatballs, we had the waffles, we had fresh cream, we had strawberries. It was a feast, but it was not hard to put on. And I was so grateful to God for everything that He had provided for us, and for how after the prep work is done, then you pull it out and you eat it. And through the adjustment, they're not saying this tastes bad anymore because they already went through a lot of months of that. And then now I've made it pleasing to their taste buds. And having come off of a trip from traveling to see grandma and eating the chicken from the store, or buying the loaf of bread, which we just came off of that, and then we're back home and eating the good stuff that I make, everybody was like, oh, this is so good.
Yes, it's so good to be home eating our own food again. Their definition of food has changed in the last year, hasn't it?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, amazing.
Go through those changes patiently and with a thankful heart, and encouraging everyone to be grateful, even if it's not ideal. It's good character building too. So all of that. And then the end is a great feast that you can give thanks to God for. Even if it's a simple little meal, it seems like a feast.
It was a celebration. Oh, I know how you feel. That same thing happened to us. And I'm sure you know, it's the potlucks and the eating out and all the different things. And you just start to not feel so good and you start to not enjoy it. You get home and you're just like, this is so good. Our food is so
Yeah.
good. Your
And I'm
body
so
can just tell.
Yes, it can. And also, there's a lot of grace for eating out and doing those other sorts of
Sure.
things with people. I'm just like, guys, this is how we live, and it's okay. Be thankful. Eat that as well. Just kind of like doubly thankful that we can make it really good at home.
It puts it in perspective. It helps you appreciate what you've got. That's what the ups and downs are so good for. And it's so good you're teaching your boys to still be thankful when mama's dishes don't turn out perfect, or when you have to eat things out there that you don't really like anymore. Still be grateful. It's not about perfection. It's
No.
about honoring the Lord in every situation. And every situation, sometimes that means you don't get your good home cooked food. It's being
Right.
thankful for what somebody else has provided for you.
I
That's
love
what
that.
honors the Lord.
That's perfect. Good.
Ah, thank you so much, Rebekah. So you have had quite the journey. You've explored so many of our materials. What's next
Yeah.
for you on your Eat God's Way journey? What are you doing in your kitchen now?
My 12-year-old is going to learn how to make kefir, that bubbly drink, the kind that you put in the special bottles.
Yeah, the water kefir is
Water
the
kefir, thank you. We've been doing
homemade
that.
soda alternative.
Yes, that's what he's going to do. So that's our new adventure. We're currently waiting for the water keeper grains to arrive. He's all excited. He's pumped up about that.
Yeah, it's a good time to do it in the warm summer too, because it just needs to be warm.
Yes.
Very good.
We're going to do that. And otherwise, I just really need to hone in on making it kind of a gentle pattern now. I've delved into it. I've learned how to do stuff. It took a lot of time, made a lot of mistakes, but I feel good about everything that I have learned. Like, I can do this. I do know how now. And that takes a lot of the pressure off. Mentally wondering how to do this. Oh, now I know how. Now I'm going to make meals. So like putting it all together and getting in a pattern of, yeah, we do this now, instead of, oh, how do I do this? So I do it.
Nice. Thinking about your journey and all the things you've learned, who would you recommend this to and why?
I would recommend this to everybody, honestly. Preparing your food better does give you that extra boost of energy, extra happy body, extra happy gut, extra pretty skin, extra happy attitude. It just helps everything. So I would recommend it to everybody. I would totally be behind moms doing it with their little people, encouraging them to learn with you, to make mistakes with you, to discover new ways. They were just as interested as I was to discover new ways to make it good, whether you're soaking it with whey or sourdough, apple cider vinegar, or lemon juice, all those things. They are just as excited, and they're more geared for, I need to learn how to make food instead of just feed my face. I would recommend it to everybody that would like to feel good and have a hands-on approach to the food you eat. It's doable, even if you're a busy mom.
Thank you. Yeah, you've definitely shown us that. If you have to cook for your family already, you want to do better. Sure, there's ups and downs. And as we know, you've spent the last year quite immersed and you've had the ups and downs. So it's not necessarily easy, but it's doable and it's worth doing.
Yes, and you have to keep the goal in mind. You want to provide nutritious food for your family. Food is kind of what the world revolves around. You have people over, you revolve around food. Food is hospitality. Food is come sit with me and let's eat. Food is relationship. Let's make this together. So it's worth putting in that energy to make it delicious and nutritious.
Yeah, I love that. Oh, thanks, Rebekah. Thank you so much for sharing, Rebekah. And thank you to all of you who've been listening today and sharing this time with us. If you have any interest in learning more about our Eat God's Way cooking classes, there is a link and or a button with this video where you can use it just to reach out. There's no pressure. We'd love to chat with you to see if it might be helpful on your own healthy eating journey. Thanks, everyone. Thanks, Rebekah. Bye-bye, and God bless you all.